Hello, everybody. My name is Trevor Blazek. Welcome back to another speech of mine. I'm sticking with the same kind of theme if you've been following the last couple speeches I've had. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 14. That is from the National Alliance on Mental Illnesses. And I simply just want to stress the importance of mental health in affecting the suicide rate. We have a mental health crisis on our hands right now. And the only solution to the ongoing suicide problem we have is to talk about it and bring it up so that the population is more aware. So I'm going to cover a couple different main points. First, I'd like to talk just about what the mental health crisis is and why it seems to be happening. There's a couple themes that we can kind of go along and see the trends on what is happening and why it seems to be more prevalent recently over the past couple years than ever before. Next, I would talk about the actual problem, all the suicide problems, a couple statistics here and there, and then I will get into the solutions on how we as a community can come together and help this problem that seems to not be getting better anytime soon. So, in the recent years, the suicidal numbers have continued to climb. And just real quick, what a mental health crisis is simply the population not knowing what to do when they face a struggle. So it seems to be happening more commonly now than ever before. It could be due to a plethora of things. One is the broken home. Currently, we're facing about a 50% 50% divorce rate. So children are growing up without both parents. That is very crucial. I myself didn't have to deal with that, but I would like to talk about this topic. The reason I chose this topic is because it is very near and dear to my heart. We are losing veterans every day. And I'm sure you've seen the 22 a day um, thing across all of social media. And we try to stress the importance on the veteran suicide rate because it is about double what the normal suicide rate is within the population. And I personally was affected. I went through my own suicidal ideations. I was very close to pulling the trigger on myself. And I want to help as many people as I can avoid the situation that I was in. So, right off the bat, mental health crisis, like I said, it's just not really knowing what to do when you're faced with the struggle. And life is suffering. We just don't know how to get through it right now. And the biggest thing that we can do is try to break the societal stigma. So, a big contributing factor to all of this is people don't want to talk about it. The best thing we could do is talk about it. And currently, people simply do not want to talk about it. 38% of people don't want a neighbor who lives with a mental health illness. 33% of people don't want to make friends with someone who has a mental health illness. So it's right off the bat, you're kind of frowned upon, I guess you could say, towards other people. Other people start seeing you in a different light. And that's that's a main reason why 1 in 5 people in America in 2021 had a mental health illness, and the numbers drop a little bit when you get into serious mental health illness, but overall, it's 1 in 5 adults, and each suicide that we run into and we face affects a minimum of 180 people. Just to open your eyes a little bit, if, for instance, I were to commit suicide and the people that would be affected are my family, the immediate family, but then my mom goes to work and she's affecting the people around her. Then my dad goes to work and my brother and my cousin and now my whole family is kinda pushing that struggle onto the rest of the world, and that could very well be the biggest reason why we're in the situation. It kinda spreads like wildfire when it starts to happen, and the numbers are only going up, like I said, so we need to break down that societal stigma. Everyone is affected mental health is mental health is a topic that we're not talking about. Everyone is affected. So when we can't talk about our feelings and we can't talk about what's happening in our lives, it starts to affect pretty much everyone around us. I know personally when I have something on my mind, and a lot of my good friends and family can tell you this, I have to get it off my mind. And if I weren't able to talk to my close support group, I don't know how I would continue, and it would start affecting every little aspect of my life, and that's just simply what is happening right now due to the lack of awareness and understanding. Many people don't know what it's like to suffer from a mental health disorder. So it's hard to understand when someone is going through something like that if you yourself have never been through it. I know before I went through anything, I didn't understand depression. I didn't understand anxiety. And it's easy to kind of pawn it off as, oh, it's kind of made up because you can't see it. You can't see depression. I could see my notebook. This is a notebook, obviously, but I can't see, oh, that is depression or that is anxiety because that's all in our heads, and we're going off of what each other say. So, just real quick, that's what mental health crisis is. It's happening all over the world, and that is why. So, on to my next point, the ongoing suicide problem. So, currently, it is the 11th leading cause of death in the US. There were roughly 1.7 million suicide attempts in 2021. 1.7 million suicide attempts in 2021. 70% of those suicides that did go through in 2021 were white males. So those are just a couple statistics. It's an ongoing problem and it's only increasing. If you look up the graphs, I sorry I didn't bring it up here for you. The graph starts in 2012. It starts at 12 per 100,000 capita, and it is steadily increasing, and it has yet to come down even a little bit. So it's only growing worse. Um, and suicide, I think a big reason, and I know a big reason this is happening, it's a relatively new issue. Yes, it's happened for years and years. We're not the first civilization to face this problem, I'm sure, but it is something new, and we've yet to talk too much about mental health. And you could go back to Greek philosophers. Stoicism is a big one. And they did talk about it in religion. They talk about it in religion, and we just kinda steered a little bit away from that recently, so it's not talked about too much, and now it's coming up as a new problem that we're facing. So the numbers are growing larger in recent years. 2021 was a tough year for the US, and those statistics are found at American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So overall, it's an ongoing problem and it's relatively new to our society. So we're not too sure on how to face it. However, there are a couple things we could do. There are a couple solutions that I have and that we've come up with as kind of a society and just kind of piecing it all together here. One of the biggest things you could do to help this, and it's tough, but it will make society better in the long run, is talk about your problems. That I'm a huge advocate of talking about your problems. It's not talking and complaining about everything in your life, but the only way someone else can help you is if they know that something is wrong. I didn't tell anyone about my problems. I tried to hold it all in, and finally my cup got full and I had to pour some out, and finally someone picked up the phone before I tried to commit suicide. So the biggest what you have to educate the people around you and the people in your community. Share what you know. Many people are just naive when it comes to mental illness. If they haven't dealt with it, like I said, it's harder to understand. So you have to kind of piece it together for them. You have to become the teacher to help them out. Um, that's the biggest thing you can do is share your experiences and teach it to someone else so that we can continue bringing up this topic around the world, really. Um, the next solution that we could all kind of come together to solve or to bring to light is just providing better mental health care. Like I said, it's a new thing. Therapy kind of got a stigma around it, and it still does. Um, Therapy has a stigma, but I know BetterHelp is a great online tool. It's therapy online. It's cheap. I believe it's around 30 bucks a month. And if you need it, use it. If you don't need it, you might know someone who needs it. So it's very rare that you don't have someone in your vicinity. So 1 in 5 adults are affected by mental health illness. So you can find someone to talk to about this. You just have to open up first. And definitely something that I found out is the conversation's only gonna be as open as one person makes it. So someone has to open up and talk about it, and that's why I'm a big advocate of it. Once I open up and talk about it, so they're gonna have something to say. So we've all faced our daily struggles. We all have something that is on our mind that we need to talk about. Just we don't have that open, deep conversation in daily life too much. So yeah, just advocate for increased funding towards communities for mental health is another good one. It's just those are a couple solutions that we can do now, we can affect it now to help the ongoing suicide problem. So overall, we need to come together as a society to help this rising problem. I'm just stressing that it is a problem. I keep saying it's a problem because we have to recognize it as a problem before we can help solve it. Till we all come to terms that this is a problem. It's hard to come to terms with it because it's a deep, dark conversation that we have to talk about. But until we do, it's just gonna slide under the rug and those numbers are just gonna keep coming up. So overall, like I said, suicide and mental health crisis is should be at the forefront of almost everyone in the country right now in the US and maybe even the world. I can really only speak for the US though. My main points, point number 1, what the mental health crisis was, how it's affecting everyone, why it's affecting everyone. It's just going through the daily struggle and not necessarily knowing how to handle it. And then that cup gets too full. The contributing factors, there's the stigma, like I said, and the lack of understanding and awareness. People aren't aware of it until you go through it or you know someone that went through it. Especially like for me, my family didn't really know about these issues and they didn't really know about the veteran community. I had to speak up. They still wouldn't know if I didn't speak up and open the conversation and talk to them about it. Second, it's an ongoing problem with suicide. It's keep steadily increasing, and we just need to come together. It's a new problem we face. We need to come together to solve it as a team. And then the solutions, like I said, is just educate your fellow workers, your fellow family members, everybody, the people around you, just try to educate and educate yourself. If you have something going on with you, dig into the deep reasons on why it's happening, why you may have depression or anxiety or something that's happening. You need to understand yourself so you can help other people understand themselves. Teaching is going to change the world in this realm. But overall, that's just what I wanted to bring up to you guys today. Sorry for making it a little dark, but this last part I have was just a personal realization that I had, and I just kind of want to share it with you. This problem is only going to get worse before it gets better. In order for this to affect more people, in order for this to change, it's going to have to affect more people. More people are going to have to be affected by mental health. And sadly, that means those numbers potentially could rise. And that's how I see it happening. But who knows? Thank you for tuning in. Like I said, talk to somebody. If you ever need to talk to somebody, that's my website down there. On the screen here. I'm here to talk to anybody and everyone. If you need any information, I'm here to give it to you. Um, yeah, so thank you for tuning in. Y'all have